Welcome to a new episode of the Past Reality Integration podcast. In this episode, we present the PRI webinar from September 24th, 2024, focusing on anxiety and stress. Join psychologist and founder Ingeborg Bosch as she engages in a conversation with a guest who shares her personal journey of overcoming anxiety and how she's thriving today. You also witness a live demonstration revealing how to identify the root causes of anxiety symptoms. Plus, we'll address intriguing questions from webinar participants. We really hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome, everyone. So nice to see you all this evening. I see some familiar faces of former webinars. It's always nice to see. This webinar is in English for our clients abroad. This is the second webinar of this year, and the topic will be anxiety and stress seen from a PRI perspective. And later on, we have some exciting news about a new event we are organizing, but I will tell you about that later. My name is Tanja Bakels. I'm your host for tonight. I am a psychologist, a psychotherapist, and also a PRI therapist, of course, for almost 15 years already. Of course, I'm not alone. We are here with a whole team. Of course, Ingeborg Bosch is here, and I will introduce her later to you. Also, Anne and Janneke are here. They are two PRI therapists, and they will tell you later about the event. And Sander is your moderator for tonight. Sander, could you introduce yourself and tell how people can ask questions during the webinar?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tanja. My name is Sander. I'm a PRI therapist as well for almost 18 years, so I'm kind of a veteran as well. I work with adults in PRI and also as a counselor in couples therapy. Tonight I will be your moderator, and that means that you can ask all the questions that you'd like in English or in Dutch or any other language if you like. But use the chat box just down below the screen. There you can find my name, Sander, and you can also address Tanja for that matter. And just post your question and I will make a list. And at 2025, am I correct, Tanja?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Around that time, I will pick the most urgent or more prominent questions, and I'll post them to Ingeborg, and she will give the best answer she has.
Thank you. So please feel welcome to ask your questions during the whole webinar. And if you are afraid you don't know the English, just do it in Dutch, and we will translate it for you. It's no problem at all.
Yeah, and no one will see the question. It's just between you, the person that poses the questions, and me or Tanja. So no worries about that.
Thank you, Sander. Yep. So what can you expect tonight? I will give you a small introduction about PRI, followed by Ingeborg, who will talk to an expert by experience, and she will talk about her overcoming anxiety and stress with a PRI therapist. Then there's room for questions. And after that, Ingeborg will do a demonstration so that you can really see how PRI works for yourself. And after that, Anne and Janneke will tell more about this exciting new event. And we will close with a special offer. Firstly, I would like to share some figures with you so you get a feel about the subject, and therefore I will share my screen. Let's see. Yes. This is not working like I would like to. Yes. So these figures about fear, I will show them to you now, if it works. I saw a UNICEF did a survey, and yeah, it's terrible. 9 million young people in Europe, so that's between 10 and 19, suffer from mental health problems, which half of them is about anxiety. So that's really, really a lot. Today was in the newspaper that sick leave, in Dutch ziekteverzuim, due to stress is increasing. 1 in 4 days of sick leave is caused by stress. And if it's caused by stress, it takes much more longer for an employee to be fit again. It takes more than 10 months. And that means it also costs a lot of money. 3 billion euros in 2018 cost the sick leave of stress-related sicknesses. So that's really, really a lot. In 2005, 10% of the Dutch population had some form of anxiety disorder, and this is growing. It's 2 years ago, it was already 15%. And in 2021, almost 500,000 people with an anxiety disorder were known to their GP, that's huisarts. So that's only the people who go to their GP, and the GP sees it as an anxiety disorder. So it must be much more. So this gives you a feeling of how big this problem of fear and stress-related sickness really is. So an answer is needed, and it's needed really quickly. I want to tell you something about the essence of PRI. And this picture really shows in a good way what the essence of PRI is. It's about that we all see the world through glasses colored by what we have experienced as a child. You could say this creates an imprint, or you can call it a program in our subconscious mind. So we are not aware of this at all. So what we have experienced as a child, that leaves this imprint in our subconscious mind. You could say, if the world was red as a child, so you see this red dots, if the world was red as a child, then in the present, we will see the world as red. So our perception is totally colored by our past. So for instance, if you were told by your parents all the time as a child that you did all the things wrong, then you might perceive the world in the present full of people who are criticizing you all the time, who are easily angry, and the slightest bit of feedback might feel as an attack. And therefore you might become, for instance, very anxious or very easily stressed. So this has a big influence on how we perceive the world, how we feel, how we think, and how we behave. So in order to overcome this, it's very important that we become aware of this imprint. You could say we had this, I call this the red beam. So we see through the lens of the past. That's this red beam. So if you become aware of this imprint and you free yourself of your defenses underneath, and they push away the old pain of the child. If you free yourself of that, then you can make the shift from this red beam, you could say, this perception, to the green beam, the truth. And then you can see the present or the world for what it really is. And that means you can become connected to yourself, and not only to yourself, but also to the people around you. And that's, of course, very important for example, our children, but maybe if you are a professional, also to be really helpful to your clients. It's of course so important to open your heart. So that's what really is PRI about, to make this shift. And so in short, we perceive the present as it was in our past without noticing. That's so important. We don't know it. We just think it's normal. We all carry old pain stored in our emotional brain. That's the red beam, you could say. And the glasses of the past color our perception of the present and therefore also how we behave. And very important, this applies to all of us. It's not like some people have a disorder, others don't. No, everybody has a red beam. Everybody has these glasses colored by our past. So PRI gives you an insight in the root cause of our emotional problems. It really looks at what's underneath it. And it gives you a concrete approach to free ourselves from it. And there we will talk about later, of course. And if you say, I would like to know more about this red beam and green beam and how you make this shift, the last book of Ingeborg, it was published in November. It's called in Dutch Emotionele Bevrijding. And in English, See Always Inside. It will be published in English at the end of this year. You can get it at the PRI website. And it really explains how you can make this shift, how it works. There are very nice exercises in it you can do for yourself. I see some people don't have any sound. I hope you can hear me. So I want to go to the next slide. Yes. 3 fundamental pillars are very important in PRI. Firstly, cognition. So by self-observation, you could say it's a phase of mindfulness, you really get to understand why suddenly you don't feel good, why suddenly you get afraid, for example. Then the behavior pillar is important. That's the next phase. Because people who are afraid have the tendency, of course, to avoid the things they don't want to do. So, for instance, you're afraid of speaking for public. Your tendency might be not to do that. So it's very important to do the things you're afraid of so that you can see, what is this really about? What do I see from the world coming towards me? And then you can go to the next phase, it's the phase of feeling, and you really go to the source of your problem by focused concentration exercises. So that combined, then you will be able to go to make the shift from the red beam to the green beam and be connected to yourself and the people around you. So I will stop sharing my screen. So please ask any question you want in the chat. Now I would like to introduce Ingeborg Bosch to you. I think you will know her, but she's the founder of PRI. 24 years ago already, she published her first book about PRI. Ingeborg is a psychologist and, of course, the founder of PRI. Now there are already 7 books published, many of which are translated in several languages, German, English, Italian, Iranian, I think also, a lot of different languages. She's now working in France and also online. She trains, of course, PRI therapists. And if you would like to know more about that, we send you an email tomorrow. But it's nice to know for the therapists maybe who are here now from abroad, there's a 2-year program which is all online. So we will tell you more about it if you're interested. And Ingeborg, so she's a trainer and also a therapist for individual or couple therapy. She does that in the form of an intensive. So Ingeborg will talk now to Eva. And Eva is a young woman. She's 22 years old. She's a student and she went to see a PRI therapist because she had a lot of fear. And she overcame her fear. And she wants to talk with Ingeborg about her process and how it was for her. So Ingeborg, if you say something, then all the people can see you.
Hello, Tanya.
Yes,
Everybody.
hi.
Thank you for your introduction. I hope my sound is clear.
Yes, I can hear you very clear.
Okay, great. Good.
So Eva, if you also can say hello, then Ingeborg will see you.
Yes, hi. There I am, hopefully.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, very welcome.
Great.
Nice you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, Tanya. So then I will take over. And
Yes.
meet Eva because we've never met each other.
No, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here and participating with this webinar. I think it's very courageous that you're going to share a bit of your story, and you're also going to be my client, right, in the demonstration that we will be doing. So wonderful, Eva, really wonderful. I'm just wondering, could you tell us what was your, what were you suffering from? What was the reason to seek help?
Well, I think for many years, as I know it, there were several things that were going on, but I never really understood and was never that permanent for me. It were short moments. But I think when I went on an exchange last year to Paris, all by myself, it really got up and got like the most intense. I'd never experienced it like that. And I think...
What happened? Can you tell us what were you experiencing that was so difficult?
Yeah, I think there was a constant feeling of danger for me. I constantly felt like something bad was going to happen and that I couldn't do anything about it. For instance, when I was walking around in the city, or even when I was in my apartment in the city, just felt like I was in danger and something was going to happen, actually.
What a horrible experience.
Yeah, it wasn't really not nice for me.
No. And what at the time, what did you think was going on?
Well, actually, I had no idea because I could tell myself 100 times, or 100 people could tell me like there's no danger, but I would still feel it. My body would react to it, and I would react to it as well.
But what did you think? Did you have any idea of what was going on, that you were having this constant fear?
No, I think it was a bit of a busy year for me. A lot of things happened in my family, so I just was like, okay, that's probably what it really caused, that I feel so weird and bad.
Okay, and then what happened for you? I mean, how did PRI come to you, and why did you decide to give it a chance?
I think, I really felt if you make it big, I felt like I was going to die there. So I went back to the Netherlands and I spoke to my family about it. And I eventually went to the GP and told her about my experience.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I can write you a reference if you tell me where I have to write it to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And eventually I got to my PRI therapist.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so you did think, okay, there is something going on that might not be completely normal in the present. There might be some other factors.
Yeah, well, actually, I was kind of helpless. My family really supported me and said, I think this would really help
Great. That's great. And so what did it do for you? What happened?
Well, it's really, I could never imagine what happened actually.
No?
I feel so different. Um, I think overall life just doesn't feel so heavy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It feels really light, and I feel kind of free. And if I do experience fear in some forms or other defenses, I just know what to do overall, and I don't feel helpless. I can really understand what's going on, and
Wow. It's an amazing shift.
yeah, it's really amazing.
It's almost like you can't believe that it's true. It's like, huh? Did this
Yeah.
really happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing, Eva. It's beautiful. And were there things in the process, in the PRI process, that were difficult for you?
Yeah, well, I never sought professional help before, so I was really, I didn't know what to expect, but um, I think, I'm sorry, I forgot a little bit about your question.
Were there things in the process that were difficult for you, that
Oh,
were hard?
yeah, I think it was really weird for me to experience that my vision, my perception, like I could really perceive something in a way, but it wasn't the truth. It was colored by what I had experienced in my youth. And that was really weird to, well, take a critical look at your own perception. I think that was really weird. And I also,
Yeah, that's very interesting because what you say weird. I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about that? In what sense was it weird?
I think I have an example of it.
Yeah.
That, for example, a friend of me says something to me, for me in a more direct way, and I can really feel like she's saying that I did something wrong, but that could be very far from what she meant
Yeah.
with saying that.
Yeah.
And that she doesn't mean that, but I do experience it like that it's not the truth. That's really weird for me.
Yeah, because it's like in your head something is like shifting and
Yeah.
it's a very strange feeling.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's very good feeling because then you find out that actually the present usually is much more unburdened than what your perception is giving.
Yeah. It really
Right?
is.
So it is a nice discovery, but it's strange that you can see something and the truth actually is so different. That's what you mean, I think. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was,
Yeah.
you have to be open to take critical look at yourself as well.
Yeah.
And it also took some time to get used to the method, I think, with filling in the form and getting used to it.
Yeah. And was it difficult for you to go deeper and to feel old pain and to go to that old reality that was behind it all? Was that hard?
Well, it was, I think it was harder to get to know what was behind it, like to get to the point, like what does this mean, this feeling? Then I was really wanting to understand what was happening. So I think I was open to experiencing what was behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was because a lot of people can be afraid to start a PRI process because they think, oh my God, the pain that I'm going to have to feel might be horrible. Can you say anything about that, how that was for you?
I think actually my PRI therapist did a great job in guiding me. So I wasn't really afraid of that. But what's behind it can be painful if you think about it. But I think what I learned in the process is that it already happened, so it cannot hurt you anymore in the present. And that really helped, I think.
That's really important, huh? That feelings can be painful, but they cannot hurt you anymore. If you survived them in the past, you will not die of them in the present.
No.
Yeah. Wow. And how amazing is it that you, with this fearful, this problem, this fear, this stress, this anxiety that you are now here in front of people talking to me that you don't even know. And
yeah, 1 year ago, I think I would have never done that. I could not imagine.
No, exactly. It's really amazing because I suffered from fear myself a lot when I was younger. And I don't think I could have imagined myself either being in front of so many people and then just interacting. So here we are. We we had the same problem.
Yeah.
It's such a liberation, when that is gone.
Yeah.
It is hard to imagine when you think back on how strong the fear can be.
Yeah.
As Tanya told us today, how many people suffer from it, also so many young people. And what it does to the quality of your life is really horrible. So it's really worth it, to try to do something about it. It is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is possible. Okay, Eva, well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to add, that you would like to share before Tanya will give the audience the possibility of asking some questions?
Well, I think what I didn't expect from the method, I'm not sure if every PRI therapist does it the same way, but I didn't expect such an active learning, like that you fill in the form and you really are, you're not just going for a session, but you really are, it's a way, a new vision on your life. And I think that's really what makes it persistent, I think, for the future, that you really, it will stay like that. It's not a temporary.
It's a way of life.
It feels like that.
Yeah, okay, you're an active participant. It's not just that you talk about your problems and then you have somebody who understands, but you really are an active participant. Yeah. And maybe it's interesting, Eva, is there anything you would like to say to people that are on the verge of maybe starting a PRI process, but that are doubting whether they should or not? Is there anything you would like to say to these people?
Well, I know it's easier said than done, but I would say just do it. The things that are causing your fear are probably not in the present, so they can't hurt you anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
I think that would be it.
Okay, well, thank you. That's very clear and to the point. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll be back with you in, I think, 5 or 10 minutes, and now we will let Tanya take over for a while. Okay? Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eva, for your openness and very inspiring, story. So now, Sander, we've had a lot of questions, so please take away.
Yes, I will. Hello, Ingeborg. Good evening. Now I have. Hi.
Yeah, I turned off my microphone, but it's on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So I have a couple of questions. Let's start with a couple of, relatively easy ones. So there is someone that is asking, can PRI also be used for teenagers, people in the age between 12, 15, something like that?
Yes, well, absolutely. Actually, we can apply PRI from a very young age. I have even applied it with children as young as 6 with very good results. So if people want to know more about that, I can advise them to take a look at my book on upbringing. Innocent Prisoners, it's called. In Dutch, it's called De Onschuldige Gevangenen, in which I explain exactly for the age groups how to approach and how to help the child from 6 to 9, 9 to 13, or 13 to 16, and then older. So that could be interesting and good to know. So the answer is yes, but there is one but, and the but is very important, is that the child needs to have at least one parent, preferably two, if there are two parents, preferably, that can support the process. And by supporting the process, what I mean is that at least one of the parents is aware of what PRI is, has some experience in it themselves, that they have, an idea of what these defenses are and the old pain. and therefore can support the child. Because if the child is alone in an environment with two parents that are still living from a defensive state of mind, which is the normal way of being of all of us. I mean, there's nothing special or bad about that. That's just the normal way of being. That will not help the child. And actually, it can make it very difficult to do the process. So we cannot help any children that don't have at least one parent who is very supportive and knows the PRI process.
Okay, clear. Thank you. Okay, now I have a more or less similar question. My son, 17 years of age, has anxiety attacks or problems, but I cannot discuss it with him, because he says it's not that bad, it's not that serious, and he actually evades them. What should I do?
He avoids talking about it, I guess.
That's my idea.
Yeah. That's one of the things that in all age groups with the children, you see that it can be very difficult to actually get the rapport with the child, that the child opens up to you, because it's a matter of opening up to the parents. And for anybody who knows a little bit about PRI, we have the traumas that come from our early childhood, which of course have to do with how our caregivers unknowingly and with mostly best intentions, but still hurt us when we were small. So the trust factor in many relationships with parents can be, even covertly, it can be a sensitive thing. So in that case, so it's what I'm saying is very understandable that there is a trust issue of which the child and the parent might not even be aware, but that's there nevertheless. And so it's a very good idea, and I write about this too, is how can I get the rapport with my child? How can I find situations in which I can maybe move a little bit closer, one step or two steps? Like with small children, bringing them to bed is usually a time where they relax and you can read a story, and then the child can usually open up. That's a different situation than at the dinner table. You say, okay, well, tell me now, why are you so stressed? That doesn't work. Right. So you have to find these situations and build the trust, and then see if the child can open up. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have time for one more question, Tanya? Okay. Now, that's more of a philosophical question, perhaps. Is there a difference, Ingeborg, according to your experience, in the anxiety perception between men and women?
In the perception of having the problem, you mean?
Exactly. Well, that's what I think. That is, it goes no deeper than that, the question, but
yeah. Well, in general, but of course, it's only in general, and you can't really generalize. But what we see as a pattern, you could say as a pattern with, of course, many exceptions, is that men tend to be stronger developed in the higher defenses. The upper triangle, we call it. So that's defense, denial of needs, false hope, and false power. That's the upper triangle. And that women tend to be stronger and develop more in the lower triangle, which is primary defense and fear. So this means that men, of course, they also have the fear defense, but there will be more of a denial of the fear defense. And then you can see that there is more of an expression of a lot of denial of needs. Like, I have no problem, I'm fine. But at the same time, you see people, the man is drinking too much, or he's always watching TV, or he's always on his iPad. And he's numb, his emotions have been numbed. So then there is a denial of need. And very often underneath the denial of need, there is a large amount of fear. But in our society, of course, fear for a man is not so accepted. So yeah, these cultural factors play also a role.
Yeah. I second that, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Then I have this question. can you tell me a little bit more, or can you tell us a little bit more about is there a connection? And if so, what is the connection between chronic pain and fear or anxiety?
Okay, yeah, well, this is very interesting. I think the link between the old pain of the child we were leads to, in order to survive, we need to develop defenses. Defenses are all 5 defenses actually are sort of, a stress reaction. And a stress reaction you can see as a tensing up. No stress is relaxing, opening up. Stress is cramping together, tensing up, closing down. So all defenses are an example of a way to close and protect the being.
Yeah.
And then this tensing up, this cramping up, this closing up is then, if it becomes chronic, it's literally in the body. Yeah, it's not in the mind. It's in the body that we close up and that we tense up. And I pull up my shoulders and I tense my my arms and my legs, and the whole body cramps. And of course, if that becomes chronical, then you can imagine that it can translate into all sorts of physical problems.
Amazing, huh? Amazing.
Yeah, it's really,
when you consider that for years and years to follow up, it's wow.
It's really amazing. So then you see all sorts of problems from, varying from intestinal problems to ulcers to problems with the breathing apparatus to headaches to back pains. Everybody knows about back pains that can, never heal. They become chronic and there's no reason.
The pelvic, perhaps?
The pelvic problems, all these problems, but even like an Achilles heel. I just had a client who had a chronic pain in her Achilles heel. There was nothing to be seen on the radios that they made. And she found out, she started doing PRI, and she found out it was all about stress. And she was a top sports, she still is a top sports woman, so it was very handicapping for her. Anyway, so even this, all physical symptoms, very often have a link to defenses and survival mechanisms. Yeah.
There is one specific question, is a headache. One of the participants asked the question, I have a lot of headaches that regularly comes back at me, especially in the weekends. Is that a sign that I'm in fear, that I have anxiety? That's a difficult question to answer, perhaps, but
I would dare to say very probably yes. Very probably yes. In the movie that or the documentary that we're releasing, there is one of the people who's telling her story is somebody who suffered from migraines ever since she was 11 until her 50th, several times a month, total debilitating migraines, and how she found out what it was about, and now it's almost completely gone. I think 95% gone. And migraines, headaches have to do with the tension, of course, here in the muscles and here, and that has to do with fear. Usually it has, I can't say always, but very, very likely it has to do with a fear reaction.
Right. I almost get the impression that people with fear problems are actually well manageable in therapy, or?
Yes, absolutely, because fear is in the wall of defenses, it's the lowest defense. It is a very strong defense because when you hit the fear, you just want to run away. So it's very hard to go through. But if you manage to go through with the help of a therapist, then you're out of the defenses into the old pain. You can allow the old pain to be there, and then you can come back to the present.
Right. So it's a bit of a contradiction, right? So it feels like hell, but actually you're quite close to the healing.
Absolutely. The closer your defense is to the old pain, the better the prognosis is of your problem. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's very uncomfortable.
That's good news.
Yes, that's very good news. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Still going strong, Tanya?
Yes, maybe one final question.
One more question, yeah. Okay, so Ingeborg, how do you feel? What's your standpoint on medication and anxiety problems?
Yeah. Well, of course, I think I've had clients where, they were like in panic attacks, anxiety states that were very strong the whole day. And it's unlivable. You can't really work with that. You can't do much about that. So then in those extreme cases, but it's only in very extreme cases that are very rare, but they exist, then I think medication to calm down the system is a good idea. But I would say 90% of the clients, of the people that I have worked with and that, we as a PRI therapist group have worked with, it's if you can avoid taking the medication, avoid numbing the fear, work with the fear and see if you can get through the fear. It looks like it's a very strong defense, very difficult to get through. But if you take the step, you find out often that it's only one step away from the exit. And the exit is the old pain and then back into the present.
Yep.
Yeah. But of course, if it becomes hell, you have to do something. You can't just, sit there the whole day in total fear. That's impossible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And we'll be talking about this further on in the webinar.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Thank you,
Sander. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So now, Ingeborg, you can do a little demonstration with Eva.
Yeah. Okay. So what I will be, of course, we never know what happens because this is not prepared. But what I hope to show together with Eva is the process which is called symbol dissection, which means that we look at something that in the present, in the perception of Eva, is causing a defensive reaction. And probably it will be fear because that's the defense that's the strongest in Eva, but maybe it's something else. Anyway, we'll look at a situation like that in the present, which is what we call a symbol. And then I will dissect the symbol into two elements. The first element is the sensory perception. The sensory perception is a very exact detail in the symbol. And that's that detail actually that touches the person and that activates a defensive reaction because that detail is perceived in such a way that it has a certain meaning. And of course, that meaning that's attributed, that is given to the sensory perception, the detail in the symbol, that meaning is a direct echo from what the client has lived through in the past and had to repress as a child because it was too painful. So this technique is very useful. If you practice that a little bit, then you can see, hey, my perception is really colored by my imprint, my program, my subconscious mind. And it's making me see the present as if it's red, but actually, there might be a whole other thing going on in the present. So I hope to be able to illustrate how that works with Eva and to inspire the people at home. And I describe this method very extensively in my book. The fourth book is called, it's translated in English also, Past Reality Integration, 3 Steps to Mastering the Art of Conscious Living. It's a very long title. And also in the online course that I do, I really practice this whole process and people can follow exactly the steps and apply it in their own life. So let's see, Eva, if we can go through those steps together.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, tell me, what is there something going on right now in your life that is difficult?
Well, I thought about it and I came to the symbol of a moral exam I have upcoming Friday, where we have to negotiate about a contract.
It's a moral or an oral exam?
Oral. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It sounded like moral. I thought.
Yeah, no, I mean oral.
Okay. An oral exam. Okay. And you are by yourself there?
No, we're in a team. We're in a team with a couple of people, and then we have to negotiate with another team of a couple of people.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you can go
Tell
ahead.
me what is your fear? Because so you're in a group and there's another group and you have to debate
Yeah,
together.
upcoming Friday. And I
Mhm.
think what my sensory perception was that during a meeting we had last week where we prepared the exam, one of my teammates said in a pretty casual way that it's important to appear professional. And I think that's where my defense of fear turned on.
Okay. Okay, so actually then your fear started there and that last week when your colleague student said that.
Yeah,
Okay, so then in that case, the symbol, as we call it in PRI, the situation that activates the defensive reaction is actually this colleague student,
yes,
co-student, and he's in the same team as you are.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the symbol is this guy. Can we say his name just to make it easier, or we can call him Jan? It's not
Call him.
important.
I don't mind which name it's.
Okay, okay. Let's call him Paul. And so when Paul said it's important to appear professional, what happened to you?
Well, I instantly just got very nervous and think how I don't want to do the exam, that I want
Okay.
to kind of run away from it.
You wanted to run away. Wow. So you had a strong fear reaction there.
Yeah.
And what happens? I mean, you get the thoughts like, I don't want to do this, I want to run away, but do you get also physical symptoms?
Yeah, I feel my heartbeat racing. I felt that, and really tension in my body. What you said earlier about the
Yeah.
shoulders going up, I can really feel it.
Yeah. Okay, terrible. So it was an instant fear reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so very clear. Pole is the symbol. The sensory perception, the detail in your perception of him that really activates the defense is that sentence. Just it's important to appear professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got into this horrible state of fear. Um, what is your fear? If you think about it, it might, it doesn't have to be logical, but just think about this remark. It's important to appear professional. What's so scary
Well,
about that?
I think that I can do it, that I'm not good enough for that to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
I
that you
really make
cannot
it
appear
big.
professional. Your fear
Yeah.
is that you're not able to appear professional.
No.
And then, Eva, so bear with me. It's not easy, but imagine, okay, so I can't do it. It's impossible. I can't appear professional. So, and then what is going to happen?
Then
What's the worst that could happen?
someone will get mad, I think, or I won't pass the exam.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, just imagine the situation. You're there with your team and the other team. They're all really appearing professional, whatever that means. And they're appearing professional, and you are not able to do that. So then you're going to flunk your exam. Is that the biggest fear?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is for you so dreadful? What is the worst about not passing your exam?
Um,
What's the worst that could happen then?
well, I think um, yeah, that you don't get to the standard. You're just, I think, maybe just you don't. Mm,
Maybe it will help to close your eyes a little bit to get more into the feeling and not so much into thinking. So imagine you would flunk the exam. What's the worst for you, Ava? I mean, What?
That you don't meet the standard, I think.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't meet the standard, then what result would that have? What's the worst thing about that?
Mm,
Imagine you
really
don't
know.
meet the standard, then how are people going to look at you? What is going to come towards you?
Well, that I'm a loser, I think.
Hmm. And how do people treat losers?
Well, not good.
Hmm. In what way? In what way do they? What do they do with what's done to losers in general?
They're, well, nobody really looks around to them, I think.
Yeah, so they're ignored.
Yeah. And they can't really do something about it.
And they're helpless.
Yeah.
So once you're a loser, you get ignored, and that's where it is. You're just stuck in that.
Yeah.
What do you feel when you say this, Eva? What do you feel in your body?
I feel like a pressure here on my breast or a
Mm-hmm.
little bit higher.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is it okay for you to stay with that pressure a little bit?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Also pressure on the top of my head, I think.
Mm. Okay. And if you just stay with that a little bit, the pressure that you feel there, that comes from these words that you're being looked upon as a loser, and those are ignored. They can't do anything. You can't do anything about it to change it, and you're being ignored. What do you feel you need there in that situation?
To not be ignored.
Yeah, okay. But you're helpless. You can't do anything about it, huh? Can you breathe into that pressure that's there on your chest and in your head? And do you know this feeling, Eva?
I think I do.
Yeah. When did you feel this before?
When I was a little kid at the swimming pool,
Hmm. And what happened there?
I think somebody of my class took my phone and ran away with it, and everybody laughed at me.
Mm. Okay. And there was nobody to help you.
No.
No. Okay, so this feeling is there, the pressure in your chest. You're being ignored, you need help, but there isn't any help. It's a horrible feeling for a little girl. It's a long time ago, Eva, that you were so helpless there, and that nobody helped you, and that they laughed at you and saw you as a what you call a loser. Hey, what's happening now?
I'm just thinking about that situation, I think.
Mhm. And how does it feel?
Well, it feels, I still feel a bit of the pressure on my breast and head, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would like to ask you to take a few deep breaths. And to slowly come back and open your eyes.
Hi there.
Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, Eva. Yeah, that sounded like a quite unpleasant situation where you were very helpless.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you now, I mean, you've felt it in your body, you have made the association, with that situation. If you now look back at the situation in the present and having to do this oral exam, when you look back on that, how does that feel now?
Well, it feels really not attached. Like I'm not helpless at the exam like I
No,
was back then.
exactly. Because why are you not helpless in the exam?
Because I can talk, I I can say something. There's nothing holding me back, actually.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So you're not helpless. You're an
No,
adult. You can speak up. There's people that will probably listen to you. They're probably not going to all laugh at you and then, leave you alone.
no,
That's very unlikely in an examination situation, right?
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how do you feel? How do you feel then now when you think of this? Because this is coming up Friday.
Yeah. I think it feels more light, that it doesn't really um, um, like it's okay if it goes a little bit less good than I expected it to go or something, but it has nothing to do with what I experienced back then. So that's weird.
Yeah. That's okay. That's great. So what we did actually is we see the old pain and the present situation are like entangled, huh? When you all of a sudden get this fear response reaction to what your co-students said. I mean, it's like the past and the present are entangled, and now we separated them. But I can imagine for people that are watching this and that have no experience with PRI, they're like, what's going on here? It might be very difficult for you. It's quite, like what's happening, and for me too. But can you explain what actually happened inside of you?
Well, I think it's really weird to imagine, but I completely forgot we were in a meeting with people. I don't know how much, but just watching me, I kind of forgot about it. I was just completely going back in memory and trying to get back to the feeling I had back then. I think how that felt and how my memory was of it. But it's weird because you're kind of looking for something to come up.
Yeah.
And with your questions, it somehow comes up
Yeah.
every time, which feels a little bit weird sometimes. But
yeah. But then all of a sudden it's there and you feel it also in the body. It's not just a mental thing. Huh? You go
no.
to that. But then how can you explain to the people that are watching how is it possible that then all of a sudden the meeting in the present is not a big deal anymore?
Because I can really feel that it's I kind of feel the relation to it, like my reaction now with how it felt. I'm not really sure if I explained that well, but it really clicks at some point.
Click, huh? Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's what I say is like the feeling is attached to the present, and then in a certain moment when you are feeling the past, it's like the feeling just jumps and it attaches itself to the past where it actually originated, and then the present is free from this weight, this emotional charge of the past. This was stuck there, and now it's unstuck. So it's like a click.
Yeah.
That can go very fast. Once you know how to do this, it can go very fast. Actually, we did it, like in a few minutes. And of course, in the beginning, it's, you need to practice it a little bit. Huh? It's not immediate, but yeah, you can reach that level and apply PRI like this, and it gives such a liberation.
Yeah. It sometimes needs some time for me to understand to get the click in my head, like that belongs there, but
to find the right meaning, actually. So the symbol was Paul, the sensory perception, the detail of Paul was this remark, like, it's important to appear professionally or professional. And then the meaning of that was, oh my God, if I don't do it right, then you better do it right or else you're going to be ignored. That's actually the meaning that was coming to you, which is an unconscious echo of the past and being ignored and left alone in a totally helpless state. Wow. Okay, Eva. Well, thank you so much for doing this demonstration with me. It was really, really very amazing and inspiring. And I was wondering, do you have anything to ask? Is there anything you would like to say?
Well, I know actually if someone has a question for me, that's totally fine with answering those. But
great.
Other than that, I don't think so.
Okay, good. Well, I wish you all the best then for your exam Friday.
Thank you.
Maybe we will hear through your ex-therapist or through Tanya how it went. I really hope it will go without a lot of stress and that you get a good degree.
I hope so.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Eva. It was really touching to hear you, to very courageous how you did this exercise, and amazing that you totally forgot you were in this webinar, because we talked about it before. It's quite, of course, that's exciting to do. So I think it's time for a little bit of interaction, and I would like to ask you all a question. You could say it's like a little quiz, and I would like you to say in the chat if you think this my question is true or false. And my question is, it is normal to be afraid of speaking in front of a large group. That is not a fair defense. So please just put it all in the chat. What do you think? It's true, it's just normal, or no, this is a fair defense. Well, it was not a difficult question. Oh, okay. Well, not everybody agrees. Thank you for all your answers. I see it's still coming, some answers. So most people think it's a defense, but not everybody. Some people say, no, this is first I wanted to say the next question. What do you think is the difference between what I call justified fear, so a normal fear reaction, or a fair defense reaction? So what is the difference between justified fear and a defense reaction? So please, I hope this is not too difficult, put your answer in the chat. Yes. I think this is a more difficult question. Yes, I see a lot of answers coming. Yes. Well, it's nice to see that most people really have understood what PRI is about. And indeed, the difference is that we are talking about a justified fear when we are in a life-threatening situation. So when you're not in a life-threatening situation, fear is always a defense reaction. So that's also the answer to my first question. So being afraid of speaking in a large group it could be, you could all leave right now. I won't like that, but it won't be life threatening to me. So this is a fear defense reaction. So thank you for all for your answers. I don't know, Ingeborg, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, I think the most important thing about fear is that if you are in the fear defense, it really feels like you're going to die. That's also what Eva said. She was afraid she was going to die in Paris. You know, if you have a strong fear reaction, it's very scary. So it's important to understand that if it's not really life-threatening, it's a defense and it's not going to kill you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Sander, do you have some questions for us?
I definitely do, Tanja. So here they come, and it's actually the first one really relates to what you were talking about earlier. So I have someone that says, okay, how do I deal with my fear when I experienced recently something that I really was scared? It's about a burglary. So this person says, how can I work with it? Obviously, she's an experienced PRI client, but how can I work with it while the things that happened were really frightening?
Yeah, okay. But okay, well, that's a very interesting question because, of course, during the burglary, you never know. You know, they might have a knife, they might have a whatever weapon and hurt you. So there could be life danger. But as she says, it's now over. So the fear reaction would be appropriate in the moment that they are here. And I don't know what they're going to do. So I have to be in the fear adrenaline mode so I can escape in case somebody comes in and wants to do something or defend myself if I can't escape anymore. That's completely an adequate reaction. But if it's already a week ago or a month ago, and I'm still here in fear, you can see that there is a reaction in the present that is not adequate to the situation. So then you can just apply the regular PRI steps. So imagine, okay, the situation is that the symbol is the burglar. Okay, what is the sensory perception that is really scaring you? Is it the noise? Is it the silence? Or is it is there, what kind of sensory perception do you have? Do you hear things? Do you see things? And then work with that in the usual way. So, and make it bigger and let the meaning come towards you.
Right. Okay.
And don't fall in the trap of thinking, yes, but it is life-threatening because it's over, so it's not life-threatening anymore.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds clear to me anyway. Now, another person that says something. I heard somebody talking about the fear for the fear. And how do I deal with that?
Yeah.
Is that also fear as in a defense fear, or is that a different, because it actually entangles, so it becomes bigger.
Yeah. It's a horrible mechanism, of course.
Yeah.
If you have suffered a fear attack once, then you can become really afraid of having that happen again, of course.
Right.
But having fear, even though it's super unpleasant, is not life-threatening in itself. So if you become afraid of having a panic attack, then it means that's another symbol. So then you go and dissect the symbol. What am I so afraid of if I would get another panic attack? What is it about? And take the same steps.
Right. Yeah.
Do you understand? It's not life-threatening to have a panic attack. So if you're afraid of having it,
you can just use the steps that you already learned in the process. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then I have a practical question from someone, and it says, well, I've done a PRI process. It worked out fine for me. But I feel that sometimes I get this yo-yo effect. So like sometimes it works, sometimes it, well, works less. Is that something that you recognize? And what can I do about the yo-yo effect? This person calls it.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit hard to answer such a question without talking to the person, but what I imagine is that sometimes what also Eva called, it clicks loose, it's like the pain, the emotional charge is stuck to the present, and then it just unsticks and it attaches itself to where it belongs, to the past event. I can imagine that sometimes that happens, so the person feels, wow, it worked out well, but sometimes that it stays stuck.
Right.
And, in that case, I think it's maybe an idea to get the help of a therapist just to do one session on such a situation, because there might be some problem in getting the right sensory perception or the right meaning, because even though PRI in a way is simple, it's not always easy. It's simple because you have symbol, sensory perception, and the meaning, which is an echo of the old reality, of the imprint, of the program, of the subconscious mind. But it can be hard to get to the exact right sensory perception and meaning. And sometimes people, I always say PRI is like a laser. It's like a laser beam, so it works really well, but you have to be exactly on the right spot. And if you are sort of around it, so you don't have the sensory perception exactly right, or you don't have the meaning exactly right, then you can feel something, oh yeah, this is something old, I know it's old pain, but it doesn't have that, unclicking doesn't happen. So the problem is probably in the dissecting, getting to the exact right sensory perception and meaning. And that can be tough, even for me. I mean, I've been applying this for a long time, but sometimes there are symbols and I can feel, oh yeah, it's about something like that. It's, it has to do with something, but it stays, the emotional charge just does not let go of the present. And then you have to go further into it and get some help.
Yeah, get some help and just talk to another person, another therapist, or perhaps a friend who knows PRI as well, and just help it click loose. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Now I have this kind of funny question. This person says, well, isn't it always about fear? So he elaborates a little bit on, so my wife sometimes get angry, but I know that it's always fear, that when I break it down, it's always about fear.
With her or with him?
He doesn't say.
Or both. Maybe both. Yeah.
Of course, it could be. But the main question, I think, is, isn't it always about fear? Or so it seems as a person that is, used to working with PRI.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think it's a brilliant question, because what happens is we have this, these experiences as a child that we could not process. So we had to repress them with these defenses. And the first defense that is put in place is the fear defense. So it's a physiological reaction. The adrenaline, the noradrenaline just floods the system, and there's the first defense. The first line of defense is fear. And then on top of that fear, once the fear is activated, we start making stories like, oh, it's my fault. I'm not good enough. That's the primary defense. Or I can still do something about it if I only do more of this or less of that, the false hope, or the false power, getting angry at somebody else, it's all their fault. Or the last one, denial of needs, numbing myself. I can just numb myself, just go out and buy a whole bunch of whatever clothes, or a new car, whatever you want to buy and whatever you like, and then just forget about the pain. So, but underneath these different defenses is the fear defense.
Right.
So that's that's a very good observation.
Good. Okay. Well, I'll tell him that.
Yeah, please do, please do.
Okay. Now, then I have a question. We both had a father that was really aggressive when we were young. How come I have panic attacks, but my sister has not?
Okay. Well, that's also very interesting that you see that children from the same family
Exactly.
develop very different defense mechanisms. That some can get depressions, and others can get anxiety problems, and another can become, very conflict prone and lose his job all the time and get into a fight with everybody. Why is it like that? I think there's a genetic part. We have different genes, so I think genes play a role in our temperament. Temperament is hereditary, so you have the temperament of the father, but you also have the temperament of the mother. So some child might, inherit that fiery temperament, the anger from the father, and the other might inherit the temperament of the mother, which is more subdued. So
Right.
that's a hereditary element. And then there's a modeling element that we usually unconsciously imitate, our parents. And one child might be more focused, more identified with the one parent, and the other child might be more focused, identified with the other parent, and therefore unconsciously model that behavior. So, there's many different factors. We come from the same families, but we're very different. And of course, also every child is treated in a different way. The parents are the same, but they treat the first child very different from the second, from the third, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So that also plays a role.
Yeah, of course. So this is actually a really complex question. Yeah. Okay. Then perhaps a bit more simple question. Can you tell a bit more about the connection between intrusion and fear? The example is I'm sitting at the station, the train is rolling in, and suddenly I get this anxiety attack about my child who is not present falling in front of the train.
Yeah.
What's the link between the intrusion and fear?
Yeah. Well, fear is actually for an event in the present. Like the example of Eva, she is going to do an oral exam, and all of a sudden she freaked out and got really scared, and something behind. So that's a fear defense. This example that you're giving me is an example of an intrusion. It's what we call, as psychologists, we call an intrusion, which is a thought mostly that comes into our mind. We don't want it, but we can't stop it. So it just intrudes. It's an intruder, it comes into your mind, and there it is stuck. But of course, intrusions also are examples of defenses. So it's not an adequate response to the present. If I'm sitting on the, in the station and the train comes in, it's not an adequate response to all of a sudden have this horrible thought about my child come into my head.
Right.
So
who is not there? Exactly.
Who isn't there? If the child would be jumping in front of the train, then that would be different, but the child isn't there. So it's completely not fitting. It's not an adequate response to the present situation. So there is, of course, a defense going on there, but what exactly it is needs some more analysis. But I can say this, that intrusions are part of, let's say, obsessive compulsive problems. That sounds horrible, and I don't like these diagnoses, but this kind of behavior in PRI is seen as false hope, strangely enough, because it doesn't sound very hopeful. But these kind of behaviors, actually, if you dissect and see what they're about, the function that they have in our psyche is to take us away from something else. So It's the hope of escaping something else.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but they are horrible, and it's really a lot of suffering. Intrusions are very, very unpleasant and very scary.
Yeah.
So the person who's suffering from this, I really would, wish for them to get some help with this, and you can get rid of it.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sander. This was
Time's up.
already
Okay.
the last question.
Oh, last question. Okay.
No, sorry, this was the last
this was the last question.
Yes, because we only got 10 minutes left, and I really would like to
Of
thank
course.
you, Sander, for all these
You're welcome.
questions. Anne, I would like you to tell us something about this new upcoming event.
Yes, thank you, Tanya. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
I see you nodding. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, we have some exciting news to share with you because we have been working on organizing a live event in January 24th, actually. I'm just looking at you, Tanya, because there was a poster we could show. Maybe you can share your screen. And this live event that we're organizing is about healing trauma. So I see the poster is in Dutch, but I think it speaks for itself. So this is an evening on trauma and how you can heal from trauma from the perspective of PRI. And we have actually a brand new documentary coming out, which Ingeborg referred to as well, that we will show at this evening. And in the documentary, there's clients who talk about their experience with PRI and their struggle with psychological complaints and how they actually process the trauma behind it and could heal from that. And there's also professionals talking about their experience from with PRI. So that's one part of the evening. And then we have two speakers that will talk about, elaborate about the book they wrote about how they healed their childhood trauma. We have live music, we have an open discussion, so room for questions. So it's promised to be a very inspiring evening, and we would like to invite you to it. It's not yet possible to buy tickets. So Tanya, I think you already shared a link in the chat. So if you're interested in this event, you can leave your email address through the link in the chat, and then we will send you an update on the location and when there's a ticket shop in the on the PRI website, so you can buy your ticket and save your spot. And we actually have a little teaser for you to have a little preview of what you can expect, which is the trailer of the documentary we will be showing. So Tanya will be displaying that shortly, I think. Yes, perfect.
I became very angry at my husband at the time.
I was just every day alone in my room and I felt so bad.
It felt like something was missing in our life.
I was in a cold, dark room, no sound, no smell, couldn't bear anything.
It was always in fear and it took control over me.
I can hardly even imagine how afraid I was.
We zijn diep gegaan, maar het is het mooiste cadeau van mijn leven geweest.
Every face tells a story. A journey from darkness to light, from struggle to strength. These are the faces of those who have confronted their past and found a new path forward. Stay with us as they share their powerful testimonies, revealing how they transformed their lives and embraced a future filled with hope and healing. Thriving over trauma, healing journeys.
Yes, so the trailer was actually the first time we showed it, and it's so new that it says out now, which is not true yet. So you were the very first to see it. It'll be out later. But this is the trailer for the documentary that will be part of the live event, January 24th, and it will be in De Beeld, which is near Utrecht, and this event will be in Dutch, so that's good to know. So if you're interested, leave your email address through the link that Tanja just sent, and we'll keep you posted. Hope to see you there. I'll give it back to you, Tanja.
Yes, thank you very much, Anne. So we will send this link also in the email you will receive tomorrow. So if it goes too quick right now. So we are at the end of this webinar already, and I hope you've been inspired. And if you think I'm struggling with fear myself, I would like to do something about it, we have a special offer for you. You can have a free intake with a PRI therapist, so you can see if this PRI might be something for you. And we will send more information about that tomorrow in your email. I would really like to thank Eva for telling your story here. I think it was very inspiring to a lot of people, I hope. Thank you very much. And of course, Sander, thank you very much. Anne, thank you very much. And Ingeborg, of course, thank you very much too. And all the participants who were here. I hope to see you back in November 25th. And there's a webinar about anorexia and other eating disorders. Thank you very much for your attention, and we will give you an email with all the information and the links I shared today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
We really hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode about anxiety and stress. If you would like to learn more about this approach or seek practical support, please visit www.pastrealityintegration.com. Thank you so much for listening.